In Kenya, Akayo and her family are resilient amid a prolonged drought. She has access to nutritious food because the government is providing cash transfers to families like hers as part of a wider program. In Chile, Matias is safe. When he hears a government early warning for a tsunami, he and his classmates know how to evacuate and where to go, even if they separate from the group. In Pakistan, Zainab is prepared for an earthquake as a leader. She and her friends are sharing how to build emergency kits in a community disaster planning meeting. Akayo, Matias, and Zainab are all benefiting from child-responsive disaster risk reduction, where children, adolescents, and youth are prioritized in the disaster management cycle of mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Disaster mitigation includes long-term strategies to reduce the likelihood or consequences of hazards such as drought, flood, wildfire, and storms. Solutions are holistic, inclusive, and consider boys and girls' exposure and coping capacities to make them less vulnerable. They address underlying risk drivers like climate change, poverty, stigma, and gender discrimination. Children have unique needs. Governments and other actors require consistent data and evidence to build policies, plans, and systems that consider age, gender, and inclusion, especially for those most vulnerable, like adolescent girls and children with disabilities. Children can also participate in disaster mitigation, with activities like tree planting to reduce landslide risk and flooding, and mangrove planting to protect coastal zones from storms. Effective preparedness and response mean governments, first responders, and caregivers work together to keep all children safe. They provide child-friendly messaging, knowledge, and skills children can learn and use. But children knowing what to do is not enough. Actions must explicitly protect them in local and national preparedness planning, including for early warning systems. The disaster response needs for children will be less when disaster mitigation and preparedness are child-responsive. During recovery, children are fully accounted for in needs assessments and government recovery plans. This means children can quickly return to learning. They are supported for post-traumatic stress in child-friendly ways, and they actively contribute to building back better. Essential services for children must also be inclusive, child-responsive, and gender-transformative, especially when multiple hazards occur at the same time, like flood and disease outbreaks. Every US dollar spent on prevention and DRR can save up to $15 in post-disaster recovery. When DRR is child-responsive, it is an investment in the future with no regrets. Working together brings all of us closer to the targets of the Sendai Framework for DRR to substantially reduce disaster risk and losses by 2030 and leave no one behind. The whole of society benefits when every child is prepared, engaged, safe, and resilient.